Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm here with Michael Crain. Michael Crain is the president and co-founder of Smart Business Evolution. And Michael, I want to talk today about organizational change. See, many times as organizations trying to get out of the rough and into success, we have less employees right now. We're trying to squeeze more out of the resources we do have. And we want to create some positive change for organization. So we go off into the mountains or we go off to that special retreat with our management team and we set all these great goals up, but then who do they have to be implemented by?
Right, the people back at the office.
Yeah. And so let's talk about how you put kind of strategy around that organizational change when a management team wants to take the business to the next level.
Yep. Well, there's nothing more common than a bunch of executives or a business owner who has great intent and has this great vision that they've come up with at their retreat and come back and it fails 90 days later. You know,
they're excited.
Sure.
They have that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we can't do what we've always done, or we'll get what? The same results, the definition of insanity. So we've got to change the way that we address change within our environment. The first thing is that it is the responsibility of the business leaders to come up with the overall main objective, the one big goal, and that's a key. We only want to do one, and we'll get into that more in a minute. But it is our responsibility to come up with that big change. However, once we've created that big change, everything else needs to be now taken down and actually driven up from those who are going to actually perform the change versus us telling them what to do.
And so let's talk about several ways you can do that. You can come back and you can put together a series of trainings together, but we've talked about that, and sometimes that creates a problem.
Well, here's one thing, and you know, I'm a big advocate of training, but training will not work. If you think that you're going to bring somebody in, a company in, even as Smart Business Evolution, and think that because you brought us in and we teach to the masses this idea that you have, it will not work. Now, it's a starting point, don't get me wrong, but that will not create the change that you so desperately want to see. The first thing you need to do when you go into change is understand it's going to be extremely difficult and it's going to be time intensive. You can't just hire out some trainer to come in and think that you're going to be able to broadcast a message and all of a sudden it's going to get done.
And I want to talk about, because if you're going to make a change, it needs to be cultural change, because you need to create a new culture around that vision you have.
Right.
Around that new product or that new launching. It needs to be cultural change, and it's slow, isn't it? One at a time, one step at a time.
Well, what we're really talking about is human habits, right?
Right.
It's no different than exercise. If you decide to take on some new regimen, you need to start slow. Single out one or two objectives, and that's it. Here's what typically happens, Fred. We come down the mountain with 10 ideas. You come down the mountain with 10 ideas, you'll get no progress.
Right.
It'll be a lot of busyness, but no new results. What you want to do is isolate to one, at the very most two. Create those changes. Once you've mastered those, then bring in another one or two, but only one. Less is best every time. Now, here's what typically happens though. Because of the leader in you, the overachiever in you, you think you can come down from the mountain and get it done. You can't. It takes time and only limited to one.
And if you create that organizational change, the fact that you can become a company that changes one thing every 2 or 3 months or 4 months, if it's one thing, but you become an organization that thrives on change at that point, as long as you slowly introduce one at a time, you master it and you implement it.
Right. Well, and remember this too, if we have multiple different objectives, right, we will hide behind the busyness of trying to make progress in all and never really create new results in any one.
Right. Let's talk about the line level employee. One of the most important things I believe in is I believe in going and asking your employees before you go to the retreat, what are some suggestions, or bringing them in on the conversation, or inviting some of them to help create that change. Talk about soliciting input from them, because they're the ones that are the closest to the customer, and they're the ones that have to actually see what change would actually work.
Exactly. So we as the leaders come down the mountain with a big idea. Here's the overarching goal that we want to achieve. But after that, everything is line level. Let them tell you what's going to take place. And here's something it will do for us. It saves us the embarrassment, because we come down from the mountain and we tell them what changes they have to make, the new processes, new behaviors that they're going to have to implement. And what happens is we don't know the nuances to creating that change, and then it's obvious to our employees that we don't know what we don't know. So better save some face and just go to them and say, here's the overall goal that we need to achieve, and here's the reason why. But after that, you tell us, how do we make that reality?
Yes, I love it. So you set the cultural, the ideas, the culture, the change you want, and let the line level employees implement it. scorecard.
Right.
People want to feel that they're heading in the right direction, and they want to, when they have accomplishments, you want to pat them on the back.
Right. Well, you definitely want to create some type of scorecard that marks the progress. You know, you're going to define where you're currently at and where you want to reach. You know, define that gap and say, now with that gap in mind, what are the key indicators that will let us know that we're making progress? But with that being said, here is where a colossal mistake is made in many organizations. Not because of bad intent, it's bad design. Make sure that your scorecard is heavy on behavior. And let me give you an example, if I may, Fred. Let's say that we have a company that wants to become a leader within customer service, right? And so at the end of the year, they want to be known throughout the industry that they're number one. So what they think that they're going to do is they're going to measure customer survey results on a weekly basis, and that will be their scorecard. It's good, but not good enough, and you won't succeed. What you do instead is pick out a behavior. And we did this with the company, and we say, hey, we're only going to concentrate on tone of voice and the way that we greet the customers. We're going to measure that. And within 2 weeks, 35 percentage points, the scores leaped because we concentrated on the behavior. But here's the reason why we as leaders don't want behavioral measurements. It takes time and energy because you have to sit there and watch and observe and score.
Yes, and you have to, yeah, that is more of a tedious process. We just want it done.
Right.
And just give me the results.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
right.
Yes. You talk about the last two things, daily huddles and trophies.
Right. Well, daily huddles is simply this. You want to create a culture where you come together once a day or at least once a shift if you have two different types of shifts and come together for about 4 to 7 minutes. That's it. And all you're going to talk about is what has to be done today to make progress. That's all that you talk about. I tell you, I can't think of anything more important if you truly want to make progress. You have to have your daily huddles.
Yes.
And trophies, last point is this, is make sure that you claim up front how you're going to celebrate. Now that's going to differ from organization to organization, but let everybody know how the team is going to celebrate key achievements.
And one thing I love to do is ask the employees or the team what would excite them.
Right.
Well, you know, is it having off at noon one time to go to the beach with their families? Is it a little bit of a bonus? What is that? What is that measurement? You'll be surprised at what you get.
Absolutely.
Because it's not always financially. Beyond the Billboards, Turning Promises into Reality with Michael Crain. Great book. Pick it up. Great. And smartbusinessevolution.com is the website. Did I get that right?
You did.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Crain, president and co-founder of Smart Business Evolution. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Out of the Rough. We hope these ideas help get you out of the rough and into success, both financially and personally. If you'd like to view this online, go to scvtv.com or fredarnold.com. If you'd like to ask me a question, have me address it, or have a special guest come on that you'd like to hear from, email me, fred@fredarnold.com. Until our next conversation, make it a great day.